West Ada ran some supplementals levies way back in the 1980s, and then they stopped, and I have to tell you, I don't really know the history of why they ran them or what they used them for or even why they stopped. But the district first ran one again in 2005 in the amount of $5 million, and it was truly supplemental. We used it to hire 25 more teachers than we qualify for under the state's funding formula. So we were trying to reduce class sizes. We also used it for the one-time cost to start the International Baccalaureate program at Renaissance, and we put a little bit into one-time curriculum purchases. We ran it 2 more times after that in the amount of $10 million. We continued to hire teachers above the state salary schedule and invested a fair amount of it, again, in one-time purchases for technology. Then as the recession really started and as the state's revenue went down and school districts' revenue went down, we tried to run one in a higher amount in 2011, and it failed. And as a result of that, as we lost the supplemental that we had and as we were losing state funding, we had to make a number of significant cuts. We cut 14 school days out of the calendar. 9 of them were actually classroom days. 5 of them were teacher work and in-service days. We started charging participation fees for secondary sports. We started not hiring a lot of positions. And so in order to reduce our budget, as classified people would leave or administrators would leave, we would just often not refill their positions. And while even during the recession, our enrollment was still increasing, we just quit hiring the teachers we qualified for growth during that time. So ultimately, we were 123 teachers below what we qualified for under the state funding formula. Then in 2012, we proposed a $14 million supplemental, and it was approved. With that, we were able to restore the 9 school days. And it's been approved 2 times since then. And what we've done during that 6-year period is just continue to chip away at the other cuts that we made and haven't been able to restore entirely. But for example, on teachers, we're now 42 below what we qualify for. This year, we made a gain of about 22 teachers. We restored some high school sports that we had cut during the recession and when we lost the supplemental. So our hope is, as we go forward and if the voters decide to approve the supplemental for 2 more years, we can continue to maintain our operations and programs and also continue to further chip away at some of those things that were cut and not restored. So West Ada as a district has experienced enrollment increases of about 1,000 kids per year. And so in order to keep up with that growth, going back at least to the late 90s, if not further, we've been running bonds to build new buildings. So in 96, 1998, 2000, 2002, 2005, all those years prior to the recession, West Ada ran school bonds every 2 to 3 years. During the recession, that slowed down. The enrollment increases slowed down. People's pocketbooks weren't in a good shape, and any bond that we would have run would have increased the levy rate. But since then, the growth has returned. So last year, we grew by almost 860 kids. This year, it was about 890. We are heading back toward our 20-year average of 1,000 kids a year. And what that looks like is the need to run bonds every 2 to 3 years to keep up, because that's the only mechanism there is in the state of Idaho to pay for new school buildings. I think a lot of people who've moved here, and even people who've been here a while, wonder why can't we pay for schools some other way? In Idaho, cities and counties can collect impact fees, which is a levy against new growth. School districts are not allowed to. We cannot levy any kind of impact fees. We're precluded from doing that in state code. West Ada has asked the legislature to change that in the past, and the answer has always obviously been no, or we would be doing it now. Idaho gives school districts one mechanism to build schools, and that's to ask voters to approve bonds so the school district can take out a loan to build a school building and pay that loan off over 20 years. It's the only tool we have. West Ada continues to look at other ways to fund schools besides just through property tax. But to date, and after many years of trying, this is still what we have.